the end you'll see a steeple, a clock tower, which was erected in 1768 by Ezekiel Rahabi, who was the Dutch East India Company's principal merchantman. He was so famous that, and so proud of his Jewish heritage that he would sign his memoranda in Hebrew. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a Jew town in Goa, the same, just haven't done it up. Now this picture is from 100 years ago. This is from a book called Castes and Tribes, and I was invited to Palakkad in Kerala to give the centenary lecture by the royal family of Kerala. I was invited a couple of years ago. So we'll see the next picture. Here it is, 100 years on. Something happened to the slide. Why is it so narrow? Something happened?
No, it's like that only.
It's been distorted. That's very strange. Anyway, today the same road is a curio shops and antique shops, and a very rich trade is going on there. Thank you. This is, again, 100 years ago, a picture of the synagogue interior. A lot of Portuguese and Dutch influence within the synagogue. And here it is today, the famous Paradesi Synagogue, which is a national heritage site in India. National heritage, that means that everybody in India is queuing up to see this place. They pay their rupees to go in. The floor is made of Chinese tiles, willow pattern tiles, brought from China in the 18th century. But you can see that the ark in which the Torah, the Jewish texts, are kept is in many ways similar to some of the interior church architecture that you have in Goa, if you look carefully. Go. This is from 100 years ago, a picture of white Jews in Kerala. There were white Jews and black Jews. Now you'll see the same white Jews, their grandchildren. Next slide. This is the famous Halegua family who came from Spain and Portugal. Those same families, they came and they settled in Goa and in Cochin. They came from Spain after the expulsion of the Jews in 1492, and they also settled in Portugal. In Goa, the Inquisition was set up, and the same Inquisition was also set up in Cochin against these very Jews. Here is a group of white Jews who actually got married in the 1950s in Cochin. And here is a group from this is a 50-year-old photograph of what we call black Jews. Today I've called them Malabari Jews. In my book on India's Jewish heritage, published by Marg, you'll see for the first time in history that I changed history, and instead of calling the Jews white Jews and black Jews, I decided to call those Jews Malabari Jews. It's the first time anybody ever did this, and it seems to have caught on because in today's politically correct era, it's embarrassing to call people blacks and whites. So I call them Malabari Jews from the Malabar coast, and everybody's doing that now. Thank you. And here, that was the Paradesi community. Now we have in Ernakulam, you actually have two synagogues. One is in a state of disuse, and another one is in the New Market in Ernakulam. But inside there, it hasn't been renovated completely, and they're setting out plants and fish inside the synagogue. It's a similar situation to Goa, that the buildings exist, they're reminiscent of what was, but they haven't yet been done up. Thank you. So you have valuable Jewish documents inside the synagogue that are going to rot. Please. And yet inside this plant shop and fish shop, you have this beautiful ark, which is from the artwork is from the Portuguese period. It's very similar. If you go to the Bishop of Cochin and the Portuguese Vasco da Gama Museum, and you go to some of the churches here in Cochin, you'll see similar artwork. Thank you. These are the lamps, the hanging lamps inside the synagogue. Thank you. I'm only rushing on because I have the short time, not you. This is how the Chanamangalam synagogue used to look before it was renovated. This is the arch, the gateway inside the synagogue, and I thank Mr. Ivar for giving us the symbol of this menorah, the seven-branched candelabra, on the graphics of our Heritage Tourism Program and the Heritage Tourism Conference, whereby he binds us together with the people of Goa. In that synagogue, I found various Hebrew and, in this case, Malayalam script readers and marriage certificates. In Goa, you had Jews who continued to practice as Jews in secret, and they married each other. Where are those marriage contracts gone? Are they in Lisbon? Where are they? Is there anybody here of secret conversos descent here in this audience who knows it? Many people know it in Goa. Okay. And here you have disused cemeteries. We are now in the process of trying to make them into heritage monuments. Thank you. So this was some of the synagogues that we got rid of, that were thrown out and completely renewed. Come.
Right.
Yes, rosettes. Thrown out. Next one, please. Forward, not backwards. And you can see...
This one?
The one before, please. On the right side is the scaffolding and the old synagogue ark, and on the left side is the renewed renovation of the same. You can even see that the podium in the church has been renewed, and the synagogue is very similar to church architecture here in Goa. And in February 2006, I personally inaugurated this new Chanamangalam synagogue and turned it into a heritage site for India in the presence of the government. But this bit I did, thank you. And the most wonderful thing, 300 Cochin Jews from Israel said, if Dr. Shalva can come, inaugurate our old synagogue, we'll come with you. The Indian ambassador in Israel made a party for me, and they all stood up and said, we're coming with you to Israel. They took over a whole plane. And they marked in the entrance to the synagogue a mezuzah, which is the sign of when you go into a Jewish house, and inside this container is the declaration of faith of the Jewish religion. The conversos in Goa, even though they had converted to Roman Catholicism forcibly, if they stayed alive, they still had a very small mezuzah, which was a tiny, tiny one that people could hardly see because they were so frightened of being caught by the Inquisition. So this is the restored synagogue. Thank you. And we put forward, we brought the oldest